Some songs don't just become hits, they change the sound of an entire generation. The songs in this video didn't just dominate the charts, they rewrote the rules of music itself. These are the 10 songs that changed music forever. That riff explodes out of the speakers. Fortunate Son doesn't sound like a protest song. It sounds like an accusation. In 1969, Creedence Clearwater Revival delivered something angrier and more direct than anything they had released before. The song became a furious anti-war anthem during the height of the Vietnam War. John Fogerty wrote it after hearing about wealthy politicians and their children avoiding the draft, while working-class kids were sent to fight. The lyrics openly attacked that hypocrisy with a level of anger most rock songs avoided at the time. The track was reportedly written and recorded in just a few hours, capturing a raw energy polished studio sessions could never recreate. Fortunate Son became a timeless statement on inequality. When that clean guitar riff starts, every breath you take sounds like a love song. But it isn't. And that's exactly why it became so unsettling. In 1983, the Police were close to breaking up, and Sting wrote the track as a calm ballad about obsession. The song hid surveillance and control behind a warm, elegant melody. The band recorded it during the final Synchronicity sessions while tensions inside the group were exploding. Stuart Copeland's drumming feels restrained and mechanical, while Andy Summers created the iconic guitar arpeggio that carries the track. Sting later admitted people constantly misunderstood the lyrics as romantic, when they were actually about jealousy and possessiveness. Every Breath You Take became one of the darkest hit songs of the 1980s. When that talkbox guitar starts speaking, Livin' on a Prayer doesn't sound like a typical 1980s anthem. It sounds like a working-class confession set to a massive stadium beat. In 1986, Bon Jovi was already successful, but this track pushed them into a completely different league. The song was built around Tommy and Gina, characters inspired by the struggling couples John Bon Jovi saw growing up in New Jersey. Richie Sambora reportedly fought to keep the talkbox guitar effect while the band debated whether the song sounded too different from their earlier material. Bon Jovi's vocal delivery feels urgent and desperate, capturing the feeling of holding on while everything falls apart. Livin' on a Prayer became an anthem for working-class survival. That guitar riff doesn't ask permission. It kicks the door open. And that's exactly what Satisfaction sounded like when it hit radio in 1965. Before the vocals even begin, the track already feels different. Dirtier, more primitive, almost mechanical. Keith Richards reportedly woke up in a hotel room during the night, recorded the riff onto a cassette player, and fell back asleep. He had no idea he had just written one of the most recognizable riffs in rock history. The distorted sound came from a Maestro fuzz tone pedal, giving the guitar a grinding texture that sounded almost broken. At the time, clean guitar tones dominated pop radio. Mick Jagger's lyrics openly discussed frustration and alienation at a time when mainstream pop avoided both topics. Satisfaction transformed the Rolling Stones into the most dangerous band in rock. If you're enjoying the video so far, leaving a like really helps the channel. When those 12-string guitars start weaving together, Hotel California immediately feels like you're being pulled into a place you can't leave. In 1976, the Eagles were already one of America's biggest bands, but this song turned them into something darker and more cinematic. The track wasn't just a radio hit. It was built around a chord progression Don Felder reportedly discovered while experimenting alone in a beach house. He recorded the demo and sent it to Don Henley and Glenn Frey, who immediately recognized its potential. Henley described the lyrics as a journey from innocence to experience, a metaphor for the excess and spiritual emptiness of the American dream. The ending guitar duel between Felder and Joe Walsh became one of the most iconic solos in rock history. When those 4 power chords open the track, Smells Like Teen Spirit doesn't sound like it was designed to change the world. It sounds broken, rebuilt in a garage without permission. In 1991, mainstream rock was dominated by polished hair metal and overproduced pop. But Nirvana arrived from Seattle with a sound that was deliberately dirty, slower, and more aggressive than anything on MTV. This wasn't just a grunge single. It was the destruction of the glossy 1980s aesthetic. Cobain reportedly said he was trying to write the ultimate pop song in the style of the Pixies, mixing quiet verses with explosive choruses. The title came from graffiti written by Kathleen Hanna, referencing a deodorant brand Cobain didn't even know existed. He thought it was a revolutionary slogan. The music video, filmed in a gymnasium with anarchic cheerleaders and a decaying audience, became iconic itself. Smells Like Teen Spirit proved raw aggression could dominate global charts and changed the sound of the decade. Oh, by the way, I will be posting more videos like this, so please like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. The acoustic guitar that opens Stairway to Heaven sounds almost fragile, deliberately quiet, almost too small for a band known for crushing volume. And that's exactly why the song works. In 1971, Led Zeppelin was already famous for being loud and overwhelming. But Stairway to Heaven moved in the opposite direction. It started slower, softer, more patient. Jimmy Page reportedly wrote the progression alone at Headley Grange before bringing it to the band. The song builds across sections that feel stitched together, moving from English folk into electric blues and finally into hard rock without sounding forced. The band refused to release it as a single, despite pressure from the label. Yet it became the most requested song in FM radio history. When that bass line starts, the entire room shifts. Billie Jean doesn't walk in, it stalks. In 1983, pop music was bright, synthetic, and carefully choreographed. But Michael Jackson delivered something darker, more paranoid, and physically irresistible. The song wasn't just a dance track, it was a masterclass in tension and groove, built around a bass line that Quincy Jones and Jackson reportedly argued about for days. Jones wanted to change it. Jackson refused, giving the song its hypnotic foundation. Jackson wrote the lyrics after receiving obsessive letters from fans claiming he was the father of their children. The paranoia in the vocal delivery wasn't performed, it came from real anxiety. During recording, Jackson reportedly sang the lead vocal alone in the dark to capture emotional isolation. Billie Jean became the moment pop music learned to move with menace. When Freddie Mercury sits at the piano and that first ballad section starts, Bohemian Rhapsody already feels like it's hiding something. The song whispers, erupts, then transforms again. In 1975, rock radio was built around predictable structures and repeatable choruses. But Bohemian Rhapsody ignored all of it. The track moves from piano confessional into mock opera into hard rock without settling into one identity. This wasn't just a hit single. It was a studio experiment that defied commercial logic. Mercury reportedly had fragments of the idea for years before assembling the structure. The operatic middle section required layer after layer of vocal overdubs, reportedly pushing the tape so hard that it began wearing thin. The label worried the song was too long and strange to work as a single, but Mercury refused to cut it down. Mercury also never fully explained the lyrics, forcing listeners to interpret the song themselves. Brian May's guitar solo enters like a different song breaking through the wall. Bohemian Rhapsody proved rock music could contain multiple worlds inside one track. When that guitar riff fires off like a machine gun, Johnny B. Good doesn't sound like it was recorded in 1958. It sounds like the future arriving early. Chuck Berry wrote the song as a semi-autobiographical story about a country boy who could play guitar just like ringing a bell. But what he really created was the blueprint for rock and roll itself. Go, Johnny, go, go. Go, Johnny, go. The track wasn't just a hit single. It was built around a sharp, aggressive guitar tone that cut through radio speakers unlike anything listeners had heard before. Berry reportedly wrote the song thinking about the crossover between country music and rhythm and blues, creating something both black and white audiences could connect with. Decades later, NASA included the song on the Voyager Golden Record, sending the sound of rock and roll into space. That's a wrap on our journey through these 10 game-changing anthems. Which of these timeless classics hit you the hardest, or brought back a special memory? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more music nostalgia right here. See you next time.